Class, I sat down and wrote my first novel, and I had the bug. I knew from that point that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to write. Well, I've actually been writing all my life, even though I wrote my first full-length novel when I was all of 14. I had this wonderful teacher in 8th grade, and she recognized my love of writing, and she did something teachers generally aren't allowed to do. She said, when you come to my class, don't worry about the lesson plans, just sit there and write your stories. And so that's what I did in her class, and right after that class I sat down and wrote my first novel, and I had the bug. I knew from that point that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to write books, and I actually I wrote 5 novels during the course of my life before I ever started the book that became Jamais je ne reviendrai. And I remember reading that James Michener had said, you shouldn't even try to get published until you've written about 1 million words. And I figured that by the time I was done with Jamais je ne reviendrai, I must have been pretty close. Mm. So that was the book that finally broke through. But I was actually happy that it happened at the time of life that it did when I was about 40, because I felt that I was able to bring all of my craft experience and all of my life experience to bear on that first book, and then have been able to pour that into the other books since then. I've always been a fan of the suspense genre as a reader, and so that's pretty much what I've written my whole life as well. I had a wonderful grandmother who was a huge fan of mystery and suspense novels, and she used to tell me when I was a boy that yes, I'm reading this wonderful new novel. It has lots of bodies in it. So that was the family I grew up in, and so inevitably I was going to end up writing suspense novels myself. So that's always what I've enjoyed is writing suspense. I've always been a fan of the genre as a reader, as well as a writer, and I've always enjoyed writers like Peter Robinson and Nelson DeMille, Michael Connelly. It has been difficult for me since I've broken through as a writer, because I can't really enjoy the genre as a reader quite as much as I did in the past. It's not so much that I worry about being influenced by other writers, because I think we're each trying to do very different things in the genre with our work. But when you spend the whole day writing suspense, curling up at night with a suspense novel before you go to bed feels suspiciously like work. And it sort of becomes market research rather than enjoyment, and you end up reading the book thinking, oh, I like that, I would have done that differently, oh, I see where he's going with that, and it's a little flatter. It's harder to lose yourself in someone else's story when you've been creating sort of a three-dimensional world of your own during the course of the day. It's harder to sort of lose yourself in another person's written world the way I did in the past.